Storytelling is a powerful technique that can captivate your audience, evoke emotions, and make your message memorable. By using relatable narratives, you can connect with your listeners on a personal, simplify complex ideas, and create a lasting impression. Effective storytelling involves choosing relevant stories, using vivid imagery, showing rather than telling, building suspense, and ensuring you have a clear structure to your presentation. By incorporating storytelling into your public speaking, you can enhance your credibility, build trust, and deliver more impactful presentations. So, when used effectively, what are some of the benefits? It helps you relate to your audience by connecting with them at a more deeper level, and it builds that personal connection that would last forever. Secondly, it brings about simplicity in complex ideas through relatable narratives. It becomes something that the moment you share a story, you create that lasting impression with that engaging story, and the listeners would always go about remembering those key stories that you shared. Lastly, it helps you build that credibility, trust, and authenticity with the audience that are listening at that particular moment. So, if you want to tell a powerful story, what are some of the key powerful elements in telling that particular story? One, you need to choose a relevant story and ensure that that particular story aligns with your topic and resonates with your audience whom you are sharing it with. Secondly, create vivid imagery. Use descriptive language to paint a picture in the minds of your listeners. So it requires that we pick and choose our words more carefully to enable our audience position themselves in the context of the story. Thirdly, show, don't tell. Use dialogue, action, and sensory details to bring that story to life. And whilst you engaging the audience, you are looking out for their expressions. And with those sensory details, you can either increase the volume of your words or your voice and engage more with your audience. While sharing the story, create a sense of intrigue and curiosity, meaning we build suspense and anticipation among the listeners. So they're waiting and hanging on every single word and wondering what is next. For your story to have that impactful memorability in your audience, have a clear beginning, middle, and an end. Structure your story for a maximum impact and build pauses or pregnant pauses into the story so that your audience keep waiting for the next stage of the story. Use emotions to connect with your audience. Tap into their feelings and experiences. And as you share the story, you would see your audience react. And that reaction should either increase the momentum of the story or you should take much more a slower pace to bring them into each detail of the story. Relate that story to your main point. Clearly explain how the story supports your message so that the audience can build that in their mind, connect it, and be able to reuse the key points from that particular powerful speech. The fable of the hare and the tortoise is a timeless story that can be a powerful tool for public speaking. His themes of perseverance, overconfidence, and the importance of steady progress can resonate with audience of all ages. And here is how you can incorporate this story into your public speaking. Hook your audience. Begin with a question or a surprising statement related to the story. For example, have you heard the story of the tortoise who beat the hare in a race? Introduce the main theme. Explain the key message of the story, such as the importance of perseverance and avoiding overconfidence. Secondly, tell the story with passion. Use vivid imagery, describe the characters, setting in detail, vary your tone, use different voices for the hare and the tortoise to make the story more engaging. Pause for dramatic effect, create suspense, and build anticipation. Relate that story back to your topic. Draw parallels. Explain how the story relates to your main point. For example, if you're speaking about the importance of setting a goal, you could discuss how the tortoise set a goal and worked towards it steadily. Apply the lessons learned. Show how the characters' actions can be applied to real life situations. If you were the hare, what would you do? Would you keep going steady and win? Because if you started the race strong, win strong. Just like the tortoise started the race, it never looked back. It never looked to sleep. It never slid off. It never thought about their opponent. It just kept on going and going and going. Finally, use the story as a call to action. Encourage your audience and challenge them to apply the lessons learned from the story to their own lives. Give specific examples of how the story's message can be applied to your audience's situation, such as, do you remember setting your New Year's goal? What happened after a month, after 2 months, after 3 months? Did your New Year's goal help you achieve what you intended to? Let's listen to the hare and the tortoise, that classic tale for public speaking. So, once upon a time, there lived a boastful hare named Howard. He was known throughout the forest for his incredible speed. One day, Howard challenged a slow moving tortoise named Rob to a race. Why the tortoise? Why did Howard challenge Rob? He could have picked other, much more competitors that would have given him a challenge, but looked at whom he picked Rob, the tortoise, for a race. Rob, though surprised at why pick me, accepted the challenge. So if you were Rob and you know the hare was just too fast an animal, what would you do? And I know there are various angles of the story where the tortoise is known to have put carrots on the way for the hare to just love, eat, and then sleep. But in this particular story, the day of the race arrived, and the animals of the forest gathered to watch. Howard, full of confidence, began to taunt Rob, telling him he would be asleep by the time Rob reached the finish line. Rob simply smiled and said, "Let's see about that." When the race began, Howard dashed off, leaving Rob far behind. Feeling confident, Howard decided to take a nap under a shady tree. That's what happens when you're overconfident. Instead of taking that solid pace and keeping on it. As he slept, Rob slowly but steadily made his way towards the finish line. And when Howard finally woke up, he realized his mistake and raced towards the finish line. But it was too late. Rob had already crossed the line. The animals of the forest cheered for Rob, and Howard learned a very valuable lesson. about the importance of perseverance and avoiding overconfidence. Though confidence is good, having that overconfidence and not keeping to the goal is bad. So, what are some of the tips for incorporating such a powerful story into your speech? Practice telling your story loud. Share it over and over. And remember the keywords of this particular story. Secondly, get feedback from others. Feedback is the breakfast of champions, and that is the only way you can improve and be better. Thirdly, use storytelling to illustrate your key points. In this particular story, there was a humble tortoise and the overconfident Howard. And we could see the parallels in the story where the tortoise kept that steady pace, had that eye on the goal, whilst the hare, Howard, being overzealous and confident, decided to have a nap, knowing that the tortoise wouldn't catch up with him. But as well, it was a very bad point for the Howard to build that in his mind that by the time he gets to the finish line, he would have a nap and the tortoise will still not catch up. So use storytelling to illustrate key points. Experiment with different storytelling techniques. This is the one that starts with once upon a time. You could start a story in 1950. There lived a merchant who drove many men to war. He had owned many houses across the world and he was so powerful. One day, so experiment with different storytelling techniques. Finally, make your story personal and relatable. The Hare and the Tortoise is one that has been a fable that has lasted many years, that has taught many people what to do, doing the right thing. So make your story personable and relatable all the time. Thank you for joining, and I hope you've been able to gain the valuable lessons of incorporating storytelling into your speeches. See you next time. Storytelling.